Hi, everyone. Welcome into My Chamber TV. We are the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We have a great lineup once again, and I do want to introduce my co-host. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly, and with me is Paul Friedlander. Great to have you with us.
And always a pleasure to be here.
I
We always
know.
have fun.
I know. And
Going on 7 years now, I think.
7 years. Can you believe
I
it?
know.
And we've had some merges with some of the chambers,
Yep.
and of course today is our
Greater Pasco Chamber of
Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce. So, and it is the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce. Anyway, we're going to have some fun, and we're going to really educate you today because our very first guest is Dr. Fridley, who does bariatric surgery. And I only wish that we had longer segments because I have questions to ask. I know Paul does about bariatric surgery, how safe it is, who is a candidate for it, and how do we know? I mean, how do you take the fear? Just get started. It's all up to you to share with us.
Absolutely. As most people with COVID-19, everyone's been kind of scared to go to the hospitals, and that's within, it's reasonable. But what we're finding now is that people are starting to recognize that it's okay to come back. The elective surgeries have started to come back. So the risk of catching COVID from an elective procedure is really not there because there's so many things, so many steps in place to prevent any of that transmission. So that fear has been mitigated at the hospital level. And as far as the fear of the surgery itself, most people probably know someone who's had a gallbladder surgery, and the safety profile for bariatrics is actually better than gallbladder surgery.
Really?
Yes. These habitually in the past were thought to be really complex and really involved surgeries, which they are to a degree when we were doing them open on these morbidly obese patients, and that big incision with all of their comorbidities made for poor outcomes, and that's why it got such a stigmata of being unsafe procedure. But now it has become a relatively common surgery in America, and we do it laparoscopically or minimally invasive now, which takes a lot of that risk away, and they're technically still challenging, but we've become better and better at it, so it's become safer and safer.
And you've been doing this for how long?
Going on like almost 10 years now.
Okay, so you have a little bit of experience.
A little bit of experience, yeah.
Dr. Fridley, just basics before we get into the heart of it. What exactly is bariatric surgery?
Absolutely. Bariatric surgery is, metabolic or bariatric surgery, sometimes they're labeled both ways. It's surgery geared towards the augmentation of their metabolism, okay? So for morbid obesity, or what most people recommend or remember is weight loss surgery, just simple weight loss surgery. So this includes your typical sleeve gastrectomies and your Roux-en-Y gastric bypasses, or even lap band placements, which were pretty popular before. And there are others such as duodenal switches and there's a long list of others, more complicated surgeries that are sometimes required, but the basic premise is your sleeves, your bypasses, and your lap bands.
Gotcha. So who is a candidate? Like, what is that magic? Is there a magic number of being so overweight? Have your patients tried everything else?
Mm-hmm.
Is this sort of like considered the last resort, or just give us that little bit of an overview?
Very good question. There's multiple criteria to qualify for bariatric surgery, and so that's why it's always beneficial to go see one to make sure they can go through your full health history, because you don't want to just dive in. And we do get people who just want to go to Mexico, get it done real quick, and come back, and it's a horrible idea. For the fact that the follow-up is not there and the workup is not there. But they do it. But for most patients, BMI, the number you're looking for, is more of a BMI. It's your body mass index. And that's how we calculate your overall, whether you're obese or morbidly obese or overweight. It goes by that magic number. So 40 is the cutoff. A BMI of 40 is considered morbidly obese, and that qualifies you for bariatric surgery. If you're above 35, between 35 and 40, you're in that mid-range where they would require you to have some other medical condition that is being caused by your obesity, such as heart failure or diabetes or, COPD, other things. And we do a full workup, at least in our clinic, we do a full workup to make sure we know all of their medical conditions so that away from their BMI, we know what other medical conditions that can be affected by this or improved by the surgery to make it worthwhile.
You mentioned a few causal situations of being obese in terms of the cardiac or the diabetes, the COPD, things like that. Will bariatric surgery, quote unquote, actually cure some of those situations or just help?
I wouldn't say that it's a cure.
That's right.
A cure is, in your mind you said never to come back again. But with all things like, improper eating, improper, overall health or not being looked after can lead you down the road of having these problems recur. Plus there's familial genetical things that can be causing their heart issues distant from their obesity. What we say is that the obesity factor can be mitigated with the surgery by losing the weight, by increasing the metabolism or improving the metabolic syndrome of the patient. Those other systems start to improve slowly.
Gotcha.
Interesting. So I'm thinking the safety of it, like you're giving some really good points about the safety of it and preparation for someone. I'm guessing, just like for a woman that may consider going for a facelift, that's not just, let me go for a facelift.
Yeah.
There's a little training ahead of time and actually healthy body prep.
Correct. There is quite a bit, it's quite a process to get you there. And I think that is a disincentive for some people who, they kind of want the quick fix and is give me a pill to lose the weight. And that's, those things exist, but they always fail. And that's why, if someone has had continual weight loss attempts, tried multiple diets, tried, let's say, Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig or Nutrisystem, all those, or even medications from their primary care, when those fail, then that's when the surgery comes into play. But even when you start that chapter, it is a multidisciplinary approach that we take, especially through our clinic here and through the Regional Medical Center Bayonet Point, that we have dietitians that you'll be meeting with on a monthly basis. You'll be meeting with the physician, myself, on a monthly basis to make sure that you're meeting all your targets so that you're learning the correct eating habits or isolating any behavioral habits. So that includes visiting with a psychologist and getting that. Additionally, when you go through bariatric surgery, there are chances of having cardiac remodeling. So we always have them see a cardiologist to ensure that their heart is healthy enough to go through any procedures. So there's multiple steps throughout the process to not to weed out anybody, to ensure their long-term success.
And I think that's the ultimate goal, obviously. And I think everybody understands that quick fix.
Well, we talked a little bit about it before the show started today and you just mentioned it about the psychological part of it. Will you, with even a morbidly obese person that says, I want this, psychologically, they're not ready for it, that they'll get it and they'll go back to their old habits. Will you not do the...
No,
okay.
I won't do it. And unfortunately, it's caused a problem. Usually they're very upset because there is time that and it's understandable, there's time that they've invested to show up to the appointments, to do all the checklists, to get things done. But at the end of the road, you're still not mentally ready for that step and not mentally ready to keep yourself out of danger post-operatively. So the risk is not worth the benefit risk reward is not there. And like you said, they're at high risk of going back to their old ways. When the benefit would be correct, and the benefit would be for them to get the appropriate control over that psychological glitch or whatever, so that they can be long-term successful. And then overall they'll be happier.
And so is there a small percentage or for people that you have to turn away?
It is a very, very small percentage.
That's good.
Which is, yes, it's good. I mean, obviously, we want to help as many people as we can, but there are instances where the patient has to meet us more than halfway. And that's one of the bigger hiccups there. And we also see it with tobacco smoke. I don't accept anyone who smokes, and we help them stop smoking because this goes back to safety. Before we recognized that people were getting these procedures done and they were having problems post-operatively, and then we realized that it was happening in all the smokers. It was the capillaries who were all constricted
when they
from
smoked.
the nicotine. So getting that out of the system is a requirement, and so we even test them. So if they try and sneak in a cigarette the day of surgery, it's canceled.
Good for you. So you've been a member, excuse me, with the Chamber of Commerce for how long?
Long time. I don't remember exactly when we started.
We can ask the audience. How long, Kurt?
It's been, for here, I think it's been about a couple of years now, almost 2 years now.
Good.
Yeah.
How's that working for you, being involved?
I think it's great. It's nothing better than being involved in the community, because I know that I bring a service line to this area, which for the most part, everyone was in this area. It's like, well, we go to Tampa for that. Well, we go to Tampa for that. And, you know, Tampa's grown so large, it's to the point where Tampa wants to come out here.
Good.
So, which is a good thing. So now, with coming on, bringing a service line, I think that is beneficial to be a part of this group, so that to network with everyone and get all the services known, so people can stay here and get things done here.
Exactly. So people that are thinking of doing something like this, do you find that they've already tried, or they just go out on a whim and go, I'm going to go have this surgery done. My girlfriend had it done, and, you know, I'm just going to go do that.
I've seen both, actually.
Yeah?
We have, you know, a couple ladies in the office, all sisters or all, you know, relatives, and had no idea. They all just said, you know, oh, we're gonna go on a competition, we'll lose weight, and they didn't leave a disclaimer saying that that weight loss surgery was an option or not. And we got them all in the office, and that's one approach. It's not the best. I mean, we want someone who has the personal drive. So usually when I visit with them is to find out, well, why are you here? What is motivating you? One of the best was a gentleman I had many years ago who just had kids. He had 3 daughters. He had triplets. And he was in his 40s, and BMI was like in the 50s. Oh. And he's like, I've got to be around. And so
That's right.
that is a beautiful representation of motivation.
Yes.
And so he had tried Nutrisystem before, and it failed. So you know, at this point, help him out with this. So it's good to see. We see both, but I would say that if you have that underlying motivation other than just a whim, it tends to work out
like
better.
Anything else, there has to be a why.
Yes.
Oh boy, absolutely.
A deep personal why.
And with a family, lead by example. To get a hold of you, can people come in and have a consultation with you?
Yeah, so what I recommend is, you know, talk to your primary care first, because usually the insurance would want to have a referral.
Sure. Okay.
And, you know, if the primary care is a factor, unfortunately there are some primary care physicians out there who still think that, you know, they need to just put the fork down and, you know, run some more, which we've kind of disproven over the years with research. But if there's any barrier there, just call our office, or reach out online. If there is the website, if they go to the Regional Medical Center Bayonet Point, on there is the service line for
there it is.
Yep,
Awesome.
right there
Very
is the
good. Very
website.
good.
And on there
We
you
gotta
can
go.
look up
Thank
for
you.
the...
We'll get a hold of you for sure. This was great. Like I said, I could have you all day. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome into My Chamber TV. We're the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly. And with me is Mr. Paul Friedlander. Welcome back again, my friend.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be here. We've got some, we've already had one on, and we've got some more awesome guests to share with you today. And everybody today is representing the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce.
That's right. And we have Joanne Newby, Creative Learning Solutions. I love the name of that. It just draws me to it. Tell us about how you're helping us with creative solutions.
I'm a business development and training coach, so I help business owners and entrepreneurs create and develop training for their employees and their customers, depending who it is they need to train. Right now, we're really focused on a lot of virtual learning and delivery, Zoom sessions, webinars, that type of thing, and then also e-learning, which is more the interactive type of learning where people click and interact with something, the engagement level is a little higher. And then we also do a lot of micro learning, which is typically a video. We use a lot of animation where characters come to life and speak. I do a lot of characters where the actual person that is featured in the animation looks like the business owner or looks like the person. So a lot of times I can create a character that
Cool.
represents the owner of the business. So it's a lot of fun. It's really creative, and you get to tell a story about a business, and it really goes a long way in promoting someone's business and promoting learning. Self-education right now is a $254 billion a year industry, and it's estimated to rise to $356 or $65 billion a year
I'm not surprised.
by 2025, and that was before COVID. So,
Wow.
Just out of curiosity, how did you end up in this field?
it's I actually fell into it. I started my career, I went to school for advertising and marketing,
Okay.
and that was my first love. I worked for the company that did the Pepsi ads.
Oh, neat.
And then I needed a change, took a temp job, and fell into training. I used to break my computer on purpose, figure out what an INI file was. Oh, is this important? I'd delete it and have to rebuild the computer. And took a temp job, and 3 days later I had a job as a trainer teaching Word and Excel and those types of courses, and things have just evolved over the past 23 years. So.
And speaking of which, before the show started, we were talking, and it sounds like things have recently evolved for you too, and you've taken on not that you're leaving this, but you've taken on a little bit of a new direction.
It's a kind of a redirection,
Right.
actually. So I teach business owners. I've been teaching and coaching them to create their own courses because self-education is so important and such a big push right now for everyone. So I got kind of away from the technical training side of things, but I've come back out of need for all the business owners that are out there who struggle with all their digital sales and marketing tools. You've got funnel builders and email marketing and webinar platforms and help desk tools and survey. I mean, there's just this whole myriad of tools that are separate, and they don't talk to one another, and business owners aren't tech people typically. So to make them all talk to one another, and then the expense of them. So there's a new tool that's out there right now. It's called GrooveFunnels, and it's an all-in-one platform. It's still in its early stages, and I am helping people get onboarded to the platform. It's a really great price right now because they're still working on the platform. But I'm super excited about it because it's just going to take the headache out of all those, trying to make those things work so people can work on their business instead of in the business.
No,
Thank you.
There you go. And I'm
Thank
totally non-tech.
Me too.
So I'm a business owner, non-tech. How is this where I want you? How is GrooveFunnel going to help me? What's it going to do for me?
And your business is?
Title
company. My dad used to have a title company. So what GrooveFunnels does is first of all, people spend between, let's say on the low end, $5,000 to $17,000 a year on those tools. GrooveFunnels right now has a lifetime platinum membership that's $13.97, and that's the only thing you'll ever pay them. So you get in and you have these tools for life. But the other part is that it's easy to use and everything's already integrated. So what that means is if you've got a funnel to build or a landing page or a website, it makes it really easy to drag and drop and build it. But then your email marketing is integrated with it, so you don't have to go out and find an API key, which is just a way to link the two pieces together, or you don't have to use a tool called Zapier or Zapier, as some people say it, to figure out how to create a connection between the two. So you're reducing your expense and you're reducing the technical difficulty that's involved that so many business owners struggle with.
Absolutely, especially those of us baby boomers that we weren't raised with all that. So I love what you're saying because of the education part too. If you have a program where you would like to educate, for example, someone has like an ancient website, you want to incorporate the education and the tools to give people coaching, training, title information, whatever that is. So it sounds like you have brought it all together. You're making it easy, simple, workable, compelling, and affordable.
I love it. I love this platform. I've looked for a really long time. When I came back out of corporate and started my business again, it took me a really long time to learn all these tools, and it's still very confusing when you're using things outside of this platform.
So is the platform similar to a WYSIWYG editor?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So there's a big competitor out there, but I was paying the competitor just for one of those tools $97 a month.
Okay.
So with this one, everything's included, including a course and membership portal. That's another piece of it. There are over 17 tools incorporated in GrooveFunnels that are all in one instead of in separate places.
How easy is it for those of us that are like, okay, because everything digital age is changing every day. That much we know that, right? Yes. Technology changes every day. Just when I figure out, I got this down really good, I'm so proud, and it changes the next day.
It is. It does change. I have found this to be pretty easy. There's still a little bit of a learning curve, but there's a ton of free training. I'm doing one-on-one training and group training with people. I have a Facebook group that I created to help people build their landing pages and websites and things like that. And I find with the drag and drop, once you understand the environment, and if someone explains it in a way that is easy to understand, then you can take it from there.
I agree.
And work with it really easily. But you need to have like a linear, I find at least, I'm in that close to the baby boomer age as well. So, but I find that if someone explains it and takes you through it in the right way,
yes,
here's the environment, here's the navigation, here's how this works, that's what that does. Instead of just saying, well, you just take this and put that there. That makes the difference.
Okay, so give me, where do I go? Because I'm going to do this later today. My husband and I are both, we have our own businesses. I want to learn this. Where do I go to get what you just said?
So you can actually get a free lifetime account with GrooveFunnels to get started. If you go to Groove with Joanne, and it's JO hyphen, that's that little dash, ANNE.com. I set up an easy website to get people. You can grab a free account. You can create 3 sites. You get the light version of the entire suite. Not all of it's out yet, but we're excitedly anticipating the rest of the tools coming out. But you can build pages, you can sell products, you can create an affiliate program, and that's for life with no credit card.
So you're doing a soft launch this way. What a great way to let people ease themselves into it and grow with this business.
It's not like GrooveFunnels isn't mine.
Right.
It was built by a gentleman by the name of Mike Filsame. He was, and hopefully I get this right, he is credited with having the second $1 million launch on the internet. He created some previous products that are along the same vein, but he is a technology company building sales and marketing software. And I did my research on he and his partners and have just been so impressed with what he's doing and what his goals are, and just his mindset as a business entrepreneur. He's very generous with both his knowledge and his technology. He's constantly adding things. He's got a bunch of bonuses right now. They're doing a huge launch for Groove Funnels over the next 14 days, 300 hours of live 24/7 broadcasting, just with internet sales and marketing and things like that. There it is. Yep. It's just such an amazing, I'm so excited about it. It's an amazing platform.
You should be. I'm excited about it because anything that gets my attention when it comes to technology, and if I can learn it simply, I have a lot of patience for a lot. That I don't. And so that's where my skill sets need to improve. And it's mainly because I never learned it. So I know enough to be a little bit dangerous in marketing and all of that. But I know you'll agree with me. You have to be with the times if you're in business. You have to be what's working out there.
Absolutely. And I find that there are a lot of people in the same situation. There are a lot of people who have businesses where this technology is so intimidating and difficult, and it's frustrating.
Yes.
Because they don't get the hands-on training or attention that really, especially those of us who are a little older, who aren't from that digital age, and it doesn't come as naturally.
No, it's true.
It just makes such a huge difference to have that little extra bit of knowledge and support to get going.
Well, that's what I mean. You can't give somebody, for lack of a better way to put it, you can't give somebody a haircut over the telephone.
Exactly.
And I've watched people train somebody to do stuff on computers and stuff, but unless they have their own computer in front of them, and they're actually physically doing it.
Exactly.
It's not come. I do have one question as we're starting to run down on time. Within the Groove Funnel, is there a CRM in there?
There is.
Okay.
Email marketing automation. So I don't think I can list them all, but there's Groove Pages, which is your website, funnel, landing page, anything that's internet-based site, you can do that. Groove Sell is where you set up your products and sell those. There's Groove Member and Course, where you set up your courses and your membership portal. Groove Video, Groove Blog, Groove Webinar for streaming webinars, live webinars, and evergreen webinars on demand. Help Desk, Survey, Quiz. I'm missing something. Video for video storage. So they've literally taken all of these products that you normally have to go to out separately and brought them all in-house. And he's expanding. He just invested in a company called Chatmatic that's a Facebook Messenger bot to have conversations automatically with people, and he's given that to us as well for free.
And Joanne, as we wind down one more time, the website they can go to try this out for free.
Grab a free account at groovewithjoanne.com. So it's GROOVEWITHJO hyphen, which is that little dash that everyone forgets, ANNE.com.
That's so wonderful. Gosh, I could talk to you all day. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This is awesome. And thank you for being with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be back.
Hi, everyone. Welcome into My Chamber TV. We are the heartbeat of the Tampa Bay community, and we provide information and awareness to our businesses in the community. I'm Barbara Marville Kelly. With me is Paul Friedlander. Great show so far.
It's been an awesome show. We've got 2 more segments, and I'm so excited about it. I'm really excited about who we have on right now. Again, today, We are, My Chamber TV is repping the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce.
That's right. And I am so tickled to introduce Kristie Freeman. It's great to have you with us today. We had just a brief little chat before the show, and when I saw Montessori, it took me back many, many years ago when it was my dream to have my children in Montessori. Let's talk about it today here in Florida and how you were involved. Your children, if I believe you said correctly, is in the school system.
Yes. We actually moved here about 5 years ago. We had always done private school, but the private schools down here are a little different than they are back home. So I actually started at the school as just a parent, fell in love, and I've now been working with the school for 4 years. I really love the fact that the school, the amount of teachers compared to the students, the ratio is just a really good ratio. There's a lot of one-on-one that kids don't always get at other schools.
Such as how many teachers, how many children with the teachers today?
Right now, this year it's a little different because we do have some
Oh,
kids
yeah.
on campus
Yeah.
and some at home. But I believe our biggest class might be 12 or 13 kids to one teacher. That would be the biggest.
Really? And where is the school?
It is right in Halliday on Mile Stretch off of 19.
Okay.
Right beside a Fifth Third Bank. It sits back just a little ways off the road. We're a little hidden gem there.
And the name is, which I don't think we introduced.
No.
World of Knowledge.
There you go.
World of Knowledge. Thank you.
Awesome.
So give us a little overview on what's different for anyone that has never even heard of Montessori and why it is different from the public school system.
One of the things that I think really sets us apart is our children are able to receive the work that is where they're at, and they're able to advance from there. Instead of every child being grouped into one category, saying this child is in kindergarten or this child is in 4th or 5th grade and they should know this. We don't do that. We start at where that child is comfortable, and we really let them build their knowledge so that they're able to advance on their own. And it's it helps a little bit with their stressors. You know, if we're able, we don't want to put any child where they're not going to succeed.
Sure.
We need to start where they're at and allow them to build up to succeed further.
Of course, because everybody's different,
Yeah,
right?
and the grades in the school are what?
We have VPK
Okay.
through high school now.
Through high school.
We've,
so K through 12 plus VPK.
Yes, we were just through middle school, and a couple of years ago, we've actually opened up our high school as well. So we do have a few high schooler students that have been with us for some years and some new ones.
And I do have a question for you to make sure I understand. I know we've been years ago was someplace, I don't think it was Montessori, but it was private. So if you've got 3 third graders, let's say, for example, but one of them's reading at a 1st grade level, another one's reading at a 4th grade level, and one's at 3rd grade, you adjust that to each of
Correct.
those students. So even if the 1st grade level of reading, that same kid may be at a 5th grade level of math.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And their work
See,
is
that's
adjusted
so critical.
to them.
That's why I wanted you to explain
Thank
that.
you.
That is
Thank
awesome.
you for asking that. Yes.
Because that's, we really just want them to start where they're comfortable and work up. Because if they're not comfortable at whatever grade level they're at, they're not going to succeed. If they don't know how to do that, they can't move on.
Of
So we
course.
really need them to be where they're at. But then also, we do kind of teach, that family core values, and life skills. The kids are learning to clean up after themselves. We have gardens. They're out there. They're picking star fruit. They're eating limes. They're getting avocados. They get to experience that. As a lot of the schools just don't. They don't have the means to do that as to where we do. Our classrooms, we have pets, we have school pets, we have class pets. The kids are learning not only to take care of themselves and their self-actions, but they're learning their
I
responsibility
was
of
just
caring
gonna
for
say,
something else.
Sure, and the discipline is sort of a relaxed discipline where everything just seems to flow together. And I'm sure that this is one of the reasons why I really did want to start Montessori when I was living in Michigan with my children, and it was not plentiful education there or affordable at that time. But I did research when I was early pregnant, and come to find out, my first son ended up in what was called the gifted class. He did not want to be part of that because he was singled out. So they would take the kids that were ahead of the other kids and put them over here, which was good. But this, it just seems like it's just a more of a softer education where it blends a little
Yes,
bit better.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love this. This is so great.
Yes.
How old are your children?
So I have an 8th grader this year, and then I also have a 3rd grader.
Oh, boy.
So I've got them on both ends. So
And Kristie, obviously, it's a private school, so there's some expenses involved, which may hold people off. But if I had to take a guess, I'm sure you guys probably have some scholarship programs.
we do, and Florida is really amazing at the scholarships that they offer. Not every state has that funding available, and really all of our Florida families should take advantage of every scholarship that they could be eligible for. We, I believe, accept most every scholarship kind of out there. We also do have payment plans. If you have multi-students, we offer multi-family discounts. Also, if they mention that they've seen this, they can get a discount on just that registration fee alone. So we offer many different things to help it become affordable. We have payment plans. We can really work with anybody.
And obviously, you said it there. You can work with anybody, but what's the mindset of a parent that may be thinking of, if there is such a thing, that may be thinking about putting their child into a Montessori?
So one thing that we do like to do with Montessori for our new families is bring the child in. Let them experience the classroom for a few days. See if that's a good fit, for them.
That's nice.
That's a great idea.
And a lot of times, more times than not, the kids just fall in love with the environment, their teachers, the friends. We really try to keep that family environment in the school. So it's not unusual to see our little bitty kids hollering for the high schoolers, and we really just keep everybody as close as we can.
Close knit.
And we
I
talked
love
about
that.
some of the programs outside the normal educational routes of the biology and the math and the science and the Englishes. What are some of the other, and you talked about like the gardening and the things, just the life skill, but what are some of the other things you guys offer? I think you mentioned that you, outside of that, and I'll get to it too, I just don't want to forget about the before and after care.
We do. We actually offer, and we've had to modify it a little bit this year. With the new regulations we're under. But this year we do have early child care starting at 8 a.m. and they can stay for aftercare up until 5.
Okay.
So
Nice.
Normally we were extended a little longer, but we've had to change that this year. But
And then some of those special programs, do you have art, do you have music?
we do. Like our older kids in middle school and high schools, they have their art history, they have their music appreciation, they have basic life skills. They'll learn to sew a button on their pants or just boil water to make mac and cheese or, any of the things that, our normal kids need to know at some point, but maybe us as parents, by the time we get home, are like, not tonight. I'm not going to do it.
And because you still have obviously guidelines of what they have to do to graduate, but because you have some flexibility, are there any financial classes in the terms of life skills and things like that?
They do. We actually, in their math, once they're, I believe they do it in the younger class, but I know a little bit more in the older. They really do. They're learning to balance checkbooks and fill out a check, fill out a deposit slip. That's some of the things that we do. We do try to teach them in their economics class.
So that they understand a debit card is not an endless.
Absolutely. We work on, even things like ballots, like filling out a ballot, because I know for me it was a struggle.
Yeah.
It's time for election. I didn't know what I was going into.
Well, and the reason I asked you that specifically was our kids, Palm Harbor, we live in Palm Harbor, so they were in public schools in Pinellas County, and they have that Enterprise Village. Well, they go to Enterprise Village in 5th and 6th grade, and they get to run McDonald's, or they just all get different positions, which is great. But then all of a sudden, they talk about checkbooks and things like that, but all of a sudden they get to 11th and 12th grade. That's when they really should be sending them down there, because by the time they get from 5th to 6th to 11th to 12th, they don't remember any of that. And that's really needs to be
Yes.
taught, because they're about to go to college. Mom and dad are about to give them a credit card or
Yep.
a checkbook.
Yep.
And they got not a clue.
Oh,
Am I right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I know last year they were working with our students, and they were actually even given a monthly budget, and they had to do their rent, their groceries,
Nice.
their utilities, know how much they had left. So it really was good, and it was really helpful, or will be really helpful for once they're an adult.
And,
No
and for
doubt.
anybody watching this show, there's no knock on public schools, there's no knock on private schools, but I can't, from being a parent of a 37 and a 34-year-old and having gone through it, I can't tell you how important the life skills are. And yes, does it cost to go to a private school? Yes, it does, but does it pay dividends at the other end? And I think, Kristie, it does. It really does. I can't tell you, there's no price you can put on having a child have education outside of education.
And
Yes.
really preparing them for
Life.
the real world.
Yes.
I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yes, and I think that's probably my favorite part total of just the whole experience of a Montessori. It's just the amount of things that they're learning that we as adults don't think about, that they need to know.
Of course.
You know? And so it really is taking a lot of that burden out.
That part of your love and passion for doing this, too?
Yes.
It's like it really is like an extended family.
It is. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many of our families are now BFFs. You know, the kids are together, parents are together. This year's a little crazy, but generally we would do, we have movie nights for families. We've done trunk or treats, We really try to keep our school.
And parents have to
together.
be, with a Montessori school, parents have to be more actively involved, do
We
they
do.
not?
We do
Yes.
ask that they are more involved. Some volunteer hours,
Right.
and it's nothing crazy. Which actually, right now, it's a little harder to get our families in because we are
Yeah.
trying to take those precautions, and we're not allowing the
course.
families on
Of
campus
course.
for the safety of our schools.
But overall, you do have that interaction and the engagement, and that is one of the things that blew my mind when I moved here in 1980-something, and I volunteered at the school system, and they looked at me like I had four heads.
Yes.
Volunteer? I'm serious. I couldn't believe it because I was very involved, always volunteered, and very with the school system, because otherwise, how can you really do? I mean, I know a lot of parents maybe can't get involved at that time. I was able to. So it was quite an awakening when we moved here. I wouldn't unpack. I was ready to move back out of Florida. I swear. Anyway, that's so great to have you with us. And you've been a member with the Chamber for how long?
I am still very new, so just I'm in my first couple of months.
Wonderful. Oh, good for you. You're going to
Yay.
do really,
And
really
contact
well.
information real quick.
Yes.
So we have YouTube, which is Walk Today. We have our Facebook page, Walk Montessori Florida, and our website.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
Very
Listen,
nice.
thank you so much for joining us
Thank you guys
today.
so much for having me.
Been great.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Good afternoon and welcome back to My Chamber TV. This week, specializing in the Greater Pasco Chamber of Commerce. I'm Paul Friedlander with my host, Miss Barbara Marville Kelly.
Hey.
And we are here to introduce two lovely young ladies from the National Comedy Hall of Fame right in Halliday, Florida at the Halliday Towers. We have Miss Emma Halliday and
That's me.
Miss Amanda Cattrel.
Yes.
Ladies,
Thank
welcome.
you for having us.
Welcome.
you.
You're going to make us laugh.
I will try my best.
Perfect. Tell us all about and how you got involved with this.
Do you want to start or shall I? You've
I'll
been here
start.
longer.
Yes, I'm the old lady.
See, she's got me laughing already. You are the old lady. Okay, why do you
So-
say that?
Halliday Towers is the new location. We opened in November of last year, and we're open from Thursday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, noon to 5 p.m. So our museum collection covers all pillars of comedy history, which include vaudeville, theater, radio, television, and film. So there's something for everyone to visit.
Nice.
There really is. And in addition to the museum itself, we actually are akin to, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Football Hall of Fame, in the sense that in addition to the museum, we have an induction ceremony in which we do induct really famous comedians. We have large ceremonies. For example, we inducted Minnie Pearl at the Grand Ole Opry. It was attended by George W. Bush.
Nice.
When we inducted George Kirby, Nelson Mandela was there. So it brings a lot of excitement for the comedians to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, because we are the official Hall of Fame in the country.
Good.
So if you want to be an official comedy Hall of Famer, it goes through us.
Gotcha. Now, is this
Wow.
is the Holiday office the actual, or is it a satellite of the?
So we have the museum itself is based in Halliday, and that's
Right.
kind of our home base.
Gotcha.
But for induction ceremonies, those are usually on a much grander scale,
Right.
obviously. So we rent out large spaces like the Grand Ole Opry and large auditoriums, places in Vegas and things like that. But all of the work is done at the museum in Halliday.
And you guys, I know you have space over there too, but do you guys do shows and comedy shows there at all?
We used to before the pandemic, but now we have a brand new cabaret theater that's going to open in November of this year.
very
Yeah, so there'll be
nice.
comedy and live music.
Very, very nice. I had no idea. And how long has this been there?
November of last year. Is
Okay,
when,
November
yeah.
of last year. This is so. I love this. My mind is like going a mile a minute. Is Rhonda Shear a member yet?
No, not in the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But she is, we've got probably thousands of comedians in the museum themselves.
And we're always expanding too.
Good. Good.
There's always new comedians coming up to the surface, and especially in the modern age, you've got new platforms for people to show their audience their talents with YouTube and social media, and so now we have to consider that as well. We're also trying to expand our collection of comedians and comedic memorabilia to not just the United States, but internationally as well.
That's awesome. Was somebody coming in to see you guys? You said, give me the hours one more time, if you would, please.
Thursday through Saturday,
Okay.
10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, noon to 5 p.m.
And I'm assuming there's a cost to come in. Yes.
Yes, $12, but there's discounts for children, veterans, and seniors.
Awesome. And you can accommodate. Well, of course, a little bit different now. But if the group's comfortable, will you accommodate a group?
Oh, yeah. We follow
Okay.
all safety guidelines, yes.
Awesome. What kind of things?
that's
If Barbara and I come in one day, what kind of things are we going to find there?
Walk us through a typical day.
So you would come in, and we've got two sections. We've got the Hall of Fame section itself, where all of our inductees are celebrated, as well as up-and-coming comedians. We have a special section for female comedians because, it is the modern age. We're trying to
Right.
include everybody, right? And we also have the second part, which is a chronological timeline, essentially, of comedy throughout the ages. So you start out in ancient Greece with Menander and Aristophanes, those, really, really old ancient playwrights, and then you go all the way through vaudeville up into radio and then film, and then you leave off with the modern age of comedy with like SNL and, Modern Family and shows like that.
Nice.
So what made you girls get into this? As little girls, were you comedians at home? Were you loving laughter, which most kids do, but you took it a little bit more seriously?
I came on as an intern, and I helped design most of the museum exhibits that you see.
Very
Oh,
nice.
and so your background is what?
Marketing.
Okay.
Ah.
My background is actually in art history and museum conservation.
Oh.
So I like to think I'm a generally funny person. I try my best.
Art history sounds like
But
fun.
my
Oh.
background definitely comes from the museum aspect of things. So I make sure that, the exhibits are safe, the memorabilia is safe, as well as, working for, as a liaison between the museum, since we're a nonprofit, and, government entities, foundations, donors, things like that.
And I almost hesitate to ask this question because to me you guys are so young, but how did the Comedy Hall of Fame end up in Halliday, Florida?
I know.
It all has to
And I
do
don't
with
mean
space.
that. I don't mean that to
Yes.
sound disparaging.
It's just, yeah.
I just was
Well,
wondering.
at the
It's very
very
cool.
beginning, it
Yes.
started all the way in the Friars Club,
Friars Club,
Beverly Hills,
Okay.
in 1991. So legendary comedians like Sid Caesar, Milton Berle, Maury Amsterdam, and our president Tony Belmont got together to discuss how to preserve the history of comedy, because at the time there was no official organization that recognizes historic
okay.
people. So that's how it started, and it first came out as a traveling museum that traveled all over the United States. Then it ended up at John's Pass Boardwalk, and now is in Halliday.
But for being in Halliday, we just didn't have the space and the capacity in John's Pass.
Yes, yeah.
We needed a much bigger space due to the people that are coming in and due to the collection that we have. Not even our full collection is on display because we have so much memorabilia that we're
Now,
changing
are
out.
they self-tours or are they guided tours when somebody comes in, or either?
Either or. We try to cater best to each person. So if a person comes in and they just want to look at the exhibits themselves and wander alone, that's totally fine. We'll leave them be. Some people come in to have the conversation, hear the stories. Some people come in just to do a lot of reading. So we've with our experience in the museum, we've learned to figure out which kinds of people want what, so
I
we
love
can
that.
cater
That's
to
great.
that more easily.
That's great.
But we do group tours as well, and with the pandemic, we do have to have those planned in advance.
Right.
But the group tours are usually guided by a tour
Yeah.
guide.
How does that work on the tour guides with this pandemic and the distancing and all of that?
So we are at a limit. We can only have 10 visitors at a time in the museum. So our group tours, for now, at least max out at 10. But usually what we would do is divide them up into smaller groups so that people get a more personal experience, and it's not as chaotic, people trying to ask questions, get information. So for example, if there were a group of 10 people, Amanda would take 5 of them on one side of the museum, I would take 5 of them on the other side of the museum.
Oh, okay.
So it's a nice way of doing that, because we do measure our success on how our guests leave, right? It sounds cheesy, but
No,
we want
no.
them to leave laughing and happy.
And
Right.
referring people to come back to see it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That
Now,
is for sure.
And I know it's all dependent on the person, like you said, some people come in to read and things, but somebody that just wants to come in and enjoy it, maybe middle of the road type of person, how long should they plan to spend there?
Um, I would recommend at least an hour to an
Okay.
hour and a half if you
Awesome.
want a general view of the museum, because we do have a lot of videos and interviews. Our president, Tony Belmont, actually got to interview many of the comedians in the museum.
Nice.
And those videos are playing. So we recommend allowing enough time to see those, as well as having enough time to see the movies that we play in our theater.
What's Tony's background?
Rock and roll.
Okay.
He's the president of Alan Freed Productions. So his main background is in entertainment and putting on concerts. But he was also a manager and an agent. So that's how he's well connected in Hollywood.
Wow, it sure did flow together, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
A lot of moving pieces fell right into the perfect place. And
Yes.
I mean, we couldn't be more happier that it worked out that way.
Oh,
I
that
know
is
the
so
building.
great.
It's a great building, and especially if you need space.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you need space. So that was a good. That's why I said if anybody listening to this, I didn't mean to sound disparaging on Halliday, Florida. I would have asked the same thing if it would have been in Palm Harbor. How did it end up in Palm Harbor,
I know,
Florida?
I
So,
know, because it's
you
so
know,
cool, and you would
yeah.
think, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. I know just what you're saying. So you've been a member of the chamber for how long? About
I would say November
just
of
since
last year,
November
yeah.
when you opened this. Oh, that's great. How's it been working? I bet everybody loves to see you come to the meetings and integrate into the community.
Yeah, a lot of people come to talk to Tony to hear those stories.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we haven't, obviously, with the pandemic, the schedules for Chamber of Commerce meetings have been a
Sure.
little bit sporadic.
Sure.
But, you know, it's always nice to go in because, you know, people don't really equate museums to something that is going to make you laugh.
Right.
People think generally that museums are very sterile, you know, cold places, kind of austere. And in this museum, it feels like you're being welcomed home, and you get told stories by, you know, your dad who's lived a really
Yes.
incredible life.
That's awesome.
Yes.
This question is we're starting to wrap up, and especially for people that are watching this and listening, is Tony available? Like, I'm part of a Rotary group. We always look for speakers. Is he available? Will he do a 20-minute talk to the Rotary groups and things like that?
Oh, I'd have to ask him,
Right.
but I bet money he would definitely love to do that.
Yeah.
It sounds like we could use him in the community. and
He
would
has
help-
a
it would help
1-hour
both.
traveling show.
Oh, yeah,
called
because it would
the
help. It
Comedy
would
Time
help
Tunnel.
both. And now with Zoom, even if he's not on site, he
Sure.
can still.
Yeah.
So okay, great.
Oh, this is so exciting. I mean,
is.
Holiday's like right around the corner from us.
Oh.
And you know what? I think this is so healthy for people, you know?
It really is.
Really laughter is just, it's the best healing medicine.
It really is. And, you know, myself, I work with other charities and, you know, foundations and stuff, and we get a lot of people with, you know, impairments, a lot of older people, and they don't have really anything to do nowadays. And being able to come into the museum and have a good laugh, you can see in their eyes and in their faces how much it makes them happier.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is just so great. I'm going to have to take a tour over there.
Well, I hope you do.
Yeah.
We'll
It's,
give you the VIP tours. Don't you worry.
I would expect nothing
She
less.
was
How
talking-
about you,
She was
Polly?
talking to me.
Oh, was that it?
Yes, I'm talking to you.
We're out of time, though. I wish I could.
Ladies, thank you so much for being with us
Oh,
today.
thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
You're both a delight, and so are you a delight. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.